Welcome back to Black News Tonight. Earlier today, President Biden spoke out strongly against the horrifying treatment of Haitian migrants this week in Del Rio, Texas. He called the actions of border agents there, seen chasing down people on horseback, outrageous. He also promised that they would be held accountable. However, some people, like my next guest, believe that much of the current tragedy could and really should have been avoided in the first place. Haitian American political consultant J.R. Gaillot recently published a piece called Haitians Are Human. In it, he writes that the inhumane situation that we've witnessed at the border was, quote, a preventable and predictable crisis. The Trump administration failed to listen, and the Biden administration is not listening to the right people. I have said it for years. Joining me now is the author of that op-ed, J.R. Gaillot. He is the executive vice president of Finiks Political, and he's also a former Democratic nominee to Congress from Florida's 3rd District. Mr. Gaillot, thank you so much for joining me. In your piece, you mentioned that the Biden administration has not been listening to the right people. Who are the right people, and what should they be paying attention to?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. Mr. Hill, really appreciate it and the opportunity to discuss this. The right people, what the Biden administration is doing is listening strictly to career people who have done the same policy for the last 25, 30 years. Actually, you can go back to 1915 when the U.S. invaded Haiti, and those same policies under the Monroe Doctrine are still ongoing today. Haiti has changed. Haiti has gone through many cycles, many changes, and these policies need to completely go away and start from scratch. What the Haitian people need is the opportunity to fix their own problem themselves without the United States putting their thumb on the scale and changing things.
In what ways has the United States put its thumb on the scale? I mean, that's an important point. I got a little bit of that at the end of my commentary in the previous segment. But the question is, how has the United States influenced Haiti? In what ways has it undermined its ability to operate sort of autonomously?
No, you got to go back to the Clinton years where the agricultural economy of Haiti was decimated by removing the pigs, flooding the Haitian market with American rice and peanuts, and basically the farmers in Haiti didn't have the opportunity to sell their own products and pretty much had to close down because these things were being sold at a cheaper rate. Back in the day, Haiti used to produce every baseball uniform, every baseball glove, the actual baseball itself. All that used to be produced in Haiti, and all that has gone away. In terms of elections, the United States government continuously picks their favorite candidate and supports that candidate and puts pressure for those candidates to remain in office. And that's what's happening right now today.
In his resignation letter, former special envoy Daniel Foote said that his recommendations on Haiti were, quote, ignored and dismissed. You yourself actually went on national TV back in July and warned that a migration crisis from Haiti was bound to happen. Why was that foreseeable to you? And why are so many seemingly reasonable and wise people giving analysis of the Haiti situation and being ignored?
Well, let me tackle the second part of your question first. Why these seemingly wise people are being ignored? You're talking with a majority of people who've never been to Haiti, who do not understand the Haitian culture, who don't even know the history of Haiti. You talked about in your previous segment how Haiti has helped the United States. For everyone in America, they should be thanking every Haitian because the freedom that we enjoy as Americans is because of Haiti. If it wasn't for Haitians getting involved, who knows when America would have gained its independence from Britain. So that's number one. Now, how was I able to see it? The political crisis that has been happening when you have the previous president that basically eliminated parliament, refused to hold parliamentary elections, started governing by decree, and you had countless protests after protest. You watch gas prices in Haiti go up. You watch gas shortages happen, food shortages, inflation quadruple in the span of 2 years. So people, in general, they will look for other opportunities. A lot of Haitians went to Brazil when the Olympics were being built. They were brought over there as labor. They stayed on. Chile had some construction projects, and a lot of things brought a lot of Haitians as well. The majority of people you saw in the Migrant have been living in Brazil and Chile and Guatemala and other countries. Now, what's happening is they are facing extreme repercussions and prejudice back in those countries. So they feel that the United States is a better opportunity, because we want to talk about all the time how the United States is a land of the free, but we're not receiving them, and that's the problem.
Right, and just to be clear here, because for the audience out there, some of whom might say, well, we don't want to take them, or we ain't got to take them, or there's a burden to take them. These people, when they get inside the United States border, have rights. International law affords them rights. National law affords them rights. It's not like we have a complete authority to make decisions about what we do and how we receive refugees, particularly given our commitment and our being signatories on various international treaties and laws regarding migrants and immigrants. Absolutely. And refugees. But let me pivot. Yeah, let me pivot though, because I have a question for you. You lost. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, hello? Sir. See, that's what I love right there. I like that improvisational spirit right there. Black folk know how to make a way out of no way. I had a question for you. Who in the Congress or State Department has been the most receptive to your message?
In Congress, I want to say Representative Gregory Meeks, the head of the Foreign Relations Committee, Representative Andy Levine out of Michigan, Val Demings, who is going to be our next senator in the great state of Florida, Yvette Clarke, Ayanna Pressley. They have been extremely, Frederica Wilson as well, extremely positive and have fought. Maxine Waters is another one to mention. And you saw their responses this week for the tragic event we witnessed and how bad it was.
Turning to solutions, can you speak to the conditions that Haitian migrants have been experiencing for years in a number of Latin American countries before they attempted to enter the United States? What should be done to improve their status in those places? You know, Brazil, Chile, Mexico. How do we improve the conditions?
Well, you saw what happened with the president of Chile and the former president of the United States. You know, talking about America first, Brazil first. It's that right-wing ideology you saw, and that has spread everywhere. You have countless countries going on where there are protests. People don't want to get vaccines because they have some kind of exemption towards the vaccine. When my daughter had to go to school, elementary school, junior high, high school, there's a list of vaccinations. Vaccination is nothing new. But at the same time, what's been happening in these Latin American countries is the fact that there's some type of prejudice that is happening towards people of dark skin. So, and the opportunities, people don't want these people taking their jobs. That is the old adage. You're taking someone's jobs, but the problem is Haitians are the most hardest working people on the planet. They make the best nurses here in America. Most people will tell you the quality of care you get from a Haitian nurse is spectacular. Haitian doctors are among the best. Haitian folks work hard everywhere. So there's a whole combination. Now, what can be done? The United States has a responsibility, a moral obligation to reach out to the heads of states of these nations like Chile, like Brazil, Guatemala, and foster aid and change policy to help jobs continue, not just for their local residents, but for migrants of any countries that are there, and that has not been happening. So when people can't survive, they look for opportunities where they can make money, they can work, and feed their family, and this is what this is all about.
Indeed, that is what it's all about, giving people the means and the resources to be self-sustaining, to engage in self-determination, and to stop engaging in practices and policies and politics that undermine people's ability to do that. Again, we're not neutral observers who are now being asked to come in and save the day. we created part of the crisis. So we have to do our job to make this thing better. JR, thank you so much for joining me, and your important analysis is welcomed here on Black News Tonight all the time. Everybody, be sure to join the conversation. We want to hear from you. Head over to our BNC Instagram and Twitter pages. Let us know how you feel. Also, visit the website bnc.tv and subscribe to our YouTube page to check out clips from the show.